Now, this is North American culture, and children are taught to be kind to one another, to be kind to animals, to abhor cruelty of any sort, that violence is not the way to resolve conflicts, and the taking of life is wrong. Now, normally, that creates a few kind of smirks in the audience, because we talk about North American culture, and you think, what? But the interesting part about that, and part of my story, is that this is the initial thing that the children are taught. And essentially what Sapon is talking about is what happens when a little bit of reality comes in. That's where it becomes interesting. But what we get, according to Sapon, is a kind of package of norms and values. He calls it a syllabus. And of course, again, they're passed on generationally. This is the kind of power. Sociologically, the most powerful things in our lives are the things we don't particularly have to think about. You know, like easygoing oppression, easygoing speciesism, even easygoing racism. If things are like that, unsaid, unspoken about in your society, then they're powerfully within you. It's kind of like we internalize those values. Once people internalize social values, they become part of that person, and that means it's quite hard to shake them then. And of course, we vegans are in the shaking of values business. He says that eventually we kind of have to cue our kids into the fact that society is not quite as rosy as we first told them. Some of the values of real society violate the values that we've just spoken about. And in fact, the violation of those values are often celebrated. So in some senses, this is a problem. And certainly psychologically can't be beneficial, Sapon says. And effectively what he says is that we've got a two-tier value system. We have the kind of goodness and light at the beginning, and then we gradually cue our kids in to the reality. Now, this is a general thing. It's not just about our relationships with other animals. We also do it in relation to, say, sexual violence and lots of other kind of issues. Parents protect their kids from knowledge. Okay, so we tend to think, well, we'll tell them this, and then when they're old enough to know, we'll tell them that. It's kind of a natural thing to do as parents. We protect our kids in that way. And we also do it in relation to our use of other animals. So this is about the only thing I'm going to read out. It said that adults typically raise children from birth to 5 or 6 years in a kind of fantasy land of ideal behavior on the part of the world's inhabitants. In this land of goodness and mercy, other animals are humanity's friends, and vice versa applies.